This is my planted tank on a good week. Every leaf in here is an argument I won against algae. And this is the same tank, the same plants, the same lights, a fortnight later. Here's the thing about algae. It doesn't announce itself, so by the time you can see green, you're already a week behind it. What's missing isn't better eyes. It's a way to treat color as data, something that watches it change over time, tells you when it moves, and keeps a record you can hand to somebody who knows more than you do. And once color is data, it stops being about tanks at all. A homebrew darkening, a starter turning, a leaf going green to yellow to red. If it changes color, something can be watching it. Krill to the rescue. An $8 color sensor, a Raspberry Pi, and the swarm running right there on the tablet. Start with every color that sensor can hand you. Hue around the outside, and the further out you go, the deeper the color gets, so clear water is the white spot in the middle. An alert in Krill is a region cut out of that space, a floor and a ceiling for red, green, and blue, and you decide where it sits. Drop 4 readings from a tank going bad onto it, and only the full bloom lands inside, because all 3 channels have to be in range at once. Hold on to that. We're about to watch it happen for real. This is the whole machine. A timer wakes a script. The script reads the sensor, and the reading lands here. As a color. Not a number pretending to be a color, but the actual color of the water, live. And there's the region we just drew, sitting in the swarm. The icon wears the color it's hunting, so you can read what any alert is waiting for without opening a thing. Let's run it. The readings were recorded from this rig on my bench, and everything they set off happens live, right now. Stick around and we'll build the whole thing node by node. Beaker 1. Water from a healthy tank. The reading lands and the swatch goes white. That dot is the water's actual color, and the trigger sitting beside it stays quiet. Beaker 2. Look at it, then look back at Beaker 1. Same water as far as your eye is concerned, and mine. The sensor is not confused. Watch the swatch. It has just picked up a tint that is not in that photograph. There is algae in that water, and not one bit of it is visible. And that is the whole argument for giving your tank an eye that isn't yours. Beaker 3 is where you'd start to squint and wonder. The swatch has walked further toward green, but the trigger still hasn't fired, because this water is not yet the color it is hunting for. And Beaker 4 is a bloom, no argument from anybody. The color crosses into the trigger's band. And there it goes. The trigger fires, a push lands on my phone, and the tank lights cut out. No light, no photosynthesis, no bloom. That's the whole loop. The water changed color, and a few seconds later, the thing feeding the bloom was off. I never touched anything. There's a graph node keeping the history. Let's look inside. There's the history, drawn as a gradient, and there is Beaker 2. The one your eye called identical to Beaker 1. Side by side on the same strip, they are plainly different colors. My dosing used to be a guess. Now it's a trend line. So how much machine does that actually take? Less than you'd think. Let's wipe it and build it back, node by node. One server, a Raspberry Pi sitting behind the tank, GPIO header and all. No graphics card, no AI needed, no cloud account. This whole video runs on $43 of hardware. First, a heartbeat. A cron timer, standard cron syntax down to the second, waking every 10 minutes forever. This is the only node that ever acts on its own. Everything else just watches. The eye. A Lambda node running 8 lines of CircuitPython. It asks the sensor for red, green, and blue and prints what it sees. That print is the node's output. That's the whole contract. Now the star of this video, a data point with the color data type. First class means the swarm can actually work with it, rules, charts, and comparisons against a color in real time the same way it would with a temperature. Let's look inside. Look at the data type. Color sits in the list next to digital and double as a peer. And because this point is fed by the Lambda, manual entry is switched off. The water says what color it is, not me. A graph node watches it and draws that history as a living gradient. And the judgment, a color trigger. It holds the region we drew on the wheel, a fixed range of red, green, and blue you set once, and when a reading lands inside it, everything hanging off it goes to work. And you set that region by hand. Here it is from the inside. 3 sliders, 1 per channel, each with a floor and a ceiling, and a swatch across the top showing the middle of the band you've dialed in, so you can see what you're hunting rather than imagine it. They're live too. That ceiling on red is what keeps pale water out of the band, so lifting it drags the swatch toward olive, and much weaker water starts counting as a bloom. Drop it, and I'm only interested in something serious. Later warning, no crying wolf. That trade is the whole tuning job, and you make it by dragging a bar and watching a color. Cancel, so the band stays exactly where I set it. Now, what happens when it fires? When it fires, 2 things hang off it. A webhook that pushes straight to my phone, and a calculation that drives the tank light to off. Algae is a photosynthesis problem, and the fix has a power switch. One more, straight onto the Pi, an MQTT bridge, because on the real tank the light is a Zigbee plug. Same wiring, 1 node different. Turn it on. The timer ticks, the script looks, the color lands, and the trigger judges. From here on, the tank watches itself. That's the whole build. A timer, a script, a color, a graph, a band, and 2 consequences. And there's a second way to look at it. That toggle hides the infrastructure and draws only the connections. Same swarm, no machines, just the shape of the idea. And Algae is just the beginning, because this hobby speaks in color everywhere. The same sensor already runs my CO2 injection. A tube of indicator drifts from blue toward yellow as CO2 rises, and the swarm reads the drift and works the valve. That whole build is on the blog. Point the same rig at any test tube and you've built a colorimeter. The reagent tests you read by squinting at a card. It reads as numbers, without your eyes and without your opinion. Which only works if the sensor agrees with reality, so you calibrate it once against a known sample and it reads true from then on. Those numbers are dull to work out and worth passing around, so nobody does the same test kit twice. If you've got a set, put them in the comments. Brewers grade beer by color, bakers read a crust, and kombucha, hydroponic nutrients, and a pool going cloudy all do the same thing. If your hobby speaks in color, Krill can listen. An $8 sensor, a Raspberry Pi, and a handful of nodes. And a tank that sees trouble coming before you do. All of it running on your own hardware, on your own network, with nothing to subscribe to.